Happy hump day to you all out there. This is John McEntyre Show Live. I'm John McEntyre, and today is hump day again. Week is moving along. Uh, got up this morning. I was like, man, Tuesday, what do I have to do for Tuesday? Then I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh, never mind. Let's do Wednesday. So we're actually in hump day. But before we get into the show, today is National Senior Citizens Day. Actually, National Senior Citizens Day. Um, actually, it was founded in 1988 by late President Ronald Reagan on August 19th, but it was later moved to the 21st. So it's actually celebrated on the 21st, which is where we celebrate our senior citizens and all of the wisdom and the joy and the knowledge that they're sharing. And so as we go out throughout the day, you see a senior citizen, show your appreciation. If you're in a restaurant, buy lunch or buy breakfast, pay for something. Show them your appreciation. Or if they're like very wealthy, they're one of those wealthy senior citizens, borrow money. Just kidding. It's one thing you will not get from a wise, wealthy senior citizen. you, you you'll get money from a bank before you will get it from them. Not stingy, they're just wise now. So yeah, so celebrate senior citizen today. Um, Also, I saw something on the news. It wasn't well. It is financial based, but just from the era, everyone knows about Indiana Jones movies. Uh, everyone, if you're 80s kids, 90s, you know about Indiana Jones. Well, the hat, the original hat, his fedora, sold at auction for $630,000. Yeah, $630,000. And I'm like, how did I even know that that was the real fedora? You know, um, I was like, man, it's just so easy to people just pay so much money for things. And I'm like, how do you really know that that's authentic? You really don't know. But hey, someone paid $630,000 for a fedora that Indiana Jones may or may not have worn. But hey, you got the dime, they got the time. So you know the routine. Let's get into this show. You know the routine. We're gonna do some wallet wins. We'll do our question, which is about pre pre planning for a funeral, prepaying for a funeral. We'll do our question of the day, and then I will be on my way. I promised yesterday that I wasn't going to do that anymore, but hey, I'm being me. So let's get into it. Wallet win number one. We have a college plan in place. Actually, this is client Andrea is working with. Um, they she was doing a financial checkup, which we're doing a lot of those lately. Uh, the clients they actually have finally put a college plan in place, and they're starting late with it, and so that makes it a wallet win. It's better late than never. But what they're doing is under work with them, and we're learning as we're also uh, getting more intense about college planning ourselves. We have a couple of years, and we will have one going to college. Um, their goal is to use as much of other people's money as possible. That's what you want to do. Scholarships, grants, whatever. Um, the objective is to not use any loans, but to use other people's money because it is a lot of it out there. I'm actually in the process of lining up a couple of college planning consultants, and they each have their own specialties, and so believe me, I've had conversations with them. And it was like, it is so much unused money out there for college for students. It is crazy just how much money is like going back into the pot, waiting for someone to just apply for. So yeah, but that is a wallet win, getting that college plan in place. Wallet win number two. I called my agent. Uh, this was someone that watched the show yesterday about the identity fraud, identity theft. So someone let us know that I called my agent and I was informed that I could add identity theft protection to my umbrella policy for a few dollars extra per year. So like I was saying, it's very inexpensive um, to actually add it, and it's different ways you can buy a freestanding identity theft policy. You can go through one of the identity theft companies. You can add it to homeowners insurance, car, banks will do it. Identity theft protection. So it's different ways to do it. So what you do is just comparison shop now. Let's go out and see how much, what do you get for your money, the value. So you're shopping for value. Don't shop on price, shop on value, because it could actually be a lower cost, but actually you're not getting as much service as the more expensive plans. So that is definitely a wallet win. We appreciate the viewer watching and actually putting it into action. Wallet win number 3. I just saved my first $1,000 for an emergency, and I placed it in a high interest savings account. So yep, big time wallet win. You did it right. $1,000 to start everything off, to get it kicked off in a high yield savings account. So it will be easily accessible. So you could get to it. This is not the money that you put in the market. This is money that you need. If something happens today, you need it today. You don't need to be talking to a brokerage company or whatever, and then they're saying, okay, well, we need 48 hours, blah 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 blah, this, that, and the other. Put it in high yield savings account and let it sit there. It will earn some interest, but it's not for that purpose. This is not an investment. This is savings for the rainy day. So when it rains, you can quickly access it. All right. Well, today's question, uh, and it's so funny because, not funny, but it's a coincidence that we're talking about National Senior Citizens Day, and the question that I was given was, is it a good idea to prepay for a funeral? And that's specific. Is it a good idea to prepay for my funeral? Short answer, I don't really like it. I don't really care too much for prepaying for a funeral. I'm a proponent of pre-planning for a funeral, but not prepaying for a funeral. Two different things. Um, and the reason why I'm not a big fan, these are just some thoughts of mine to get people to think about it, because we get the question a lot. I actually had a family member who was talking about it, and they were just about to pull the trigger, and they just happened to mention it to me, and I said, well, I wouldn't exactly. The pre-planning part is great. That's good to know that you're pre-planning, you have ideas in place, but I wouldn't prepay. And I made sure to explain why. And the 3 reasons to not prepay, my top 3 reasons, I always give at least 3. Then you can do your own research, because there are more reasons, but usually these are the ones that really make the person think, like, okay, no, I don't think I'll prepay. I'll pre-plan, but I will not pay. Number 1 is inflation. It's just inflation. Average cost of a funeral on the low end, um, like I've said before, and I joke a lot about it. Like, look, when I pass, slap me in a pine box, throw me in the ground. If you cry, that's cool. Have a good meal, celebrate me, move on. That's going to be about 10,000 just for a basic pine box and a basic funeral arrangements. Um, Nothing big and fancy. Probably will be at a funeral home, a chapel, whatever. One of the smaller arrangements. Around 10,000, up to the big cinderways where people have the concerts, and they have singers and all of this type of stuff to come in, and they have the white horses pulling the chariot down the street and all of this good stuff. Dancers and all of this. Those start around $20,000. They're around 20,000. So the average is usually $10,000 to $20,000. So you have to factor in 4% inflation on the year. And here for the past few years, costs kind of like spiked a little bit, went up more than normal because of just the overall cost of everything. Um, so you have to add in the 4%. So if today, you put me in the pine box, 10,000, 3, 4, 5 years, you have to account for that 4% increase each year. So that's why you don't want to prepay, because you'll probably end up still owing no more. No, there's a high probability, 99% chance that you're going to owe more money than you anticipated. So there's better ways to just take care of it. That's the number one, inflation. Number two, um, your plans could change. You could relocate. I know people, especially in the Charlotte area. Charlotte, growing city, one of the faster growing cities. There are people that are moving here that they have no plans of going back. Especially a lot of people that have moved from up north. We've talked about this type of stuff, and they're like, I'm never going back up there. I've made it plain and clear that, perfectly clear that I will not be going back. Even for my funeral, I don't want to go back. So there are some people, those types of plans could change. You could relocate, um, remarry, get married again. There's a lot, as you get older, there's divorces, and people become widows or widowers, and so those plans changes. Who knows? Something may happen in the second spouse. They like them better, so they would rather be buried beside them than the other. So plans change. Uh, hey, I'm just being real. When you talk to people, especially that's what I really like about the seniors. They get older, they don't mince words. They don't have time to mince words. They're all about getting it all out. And they say, yes, I had these plans, and I had, some of them we've seen that quite a bit, where people have had plots. They've had the plots. So they were with a particular church, and with the church membership, you actually um, had an actual plot. That's something that you receive as a member of the church, a burial plot in the cemetery, things like that, church cemetery. Um, Remarried, a new spouse or something like that comes along, and then they decide, I'm not going to be buried at that church, or um, my new wife. I've seen arguments, plenty of arguments. I mean, especially when it comes to these family churches, things like that it can get nasty very quickly. And so that could happen. You remarry and all that good stuff, widow or divorced. And especially with the divorce, that's a lot more sensitive. Um, and it's just not pretty. Let's just put it that way. So your plans change. And the third reason, having seen that a couple of times, you just don't know how you're going to leave this world. You just don't know. Um, Me personally, I would like to go to sleep when I'm good and old, around 1:20, 1:30. I go take my midday nap, have a cup of coffee, whatever. If I'm still, if I'm able to do that, take my nap, and then just go to eternity. I'm good. That's how everyone would like to go. But as we see on a daily basis, it doesn't always go to plan. Um, you could have prepaid for this nice funeral, coffins, flowers, everything. Um, I heard those stories when it really hit home with me was 9/11. That's when it really hit home. Uh, some of these people had all of these plans and everything, and there's still a lot of people that are mourning because they have no closure. They don't have anything. All they have is a memory, maybe a certificate, or they created something, but they still don't have what they're supposed to have. Even closer with us was COVID. A lot of what I would call foul things happened during COVID in those types of situations. Here in Charlotte, there's a couple of stories on the news where people went back up. They were from up north, parents in a senior care home, uh, passed away. They were not informed because they could not, go into those facilities at the time, and they were not informed. Then after everything eased up, that's when they were actually told, parent, your father passed away. I mean, it's some serious stories. I'm like, I would be in prison, something happened like that. But then one of the stories, the daughter, she was told, yes, we have your father's remains, and she doesn't have a way. I mean, she was like, I haven't picked up on the full story yet, but they're going to see about the DNA testing, if it's possible, everything like that. And so she even shared it. She said, we had my father. He had plans. He had pre-planned a lot of things, and um, she was distraught because she could not carry out his wishes. you know, and that was I was like I caught myself. I was like I was mad about it. I'm watching the television. I'm on this side of the television, and I was mad about it. And I was like, someone would have to give me answers, But putting it into perspective, I'm quite sure no one planned for that to happen. As you was ironing out your plans. So pre-planning, I'm a big proponent of it. Prepaying, I'm not. Just don't prepay because the benefits of pre-planning. I'm sorry, pre-planning. I couldn't say it 3 times, so I'm not going to say it again. Number one, you express your wishes. You get to express your wishes. Um, where you know I'm going to use my mom as an example. She passed away in 2019 from dementia. But growing up, year after year, we go to funerals, family, friends, everything. It just so happened our friends, the actual uh, mortuary, the owner, she grew up with one of the owners, the founders, and so they were very close friends. So they always had these types of conversations. After every funeral, after I got older and really paid attention to what she was saying, after every funeral, she would say, don't do me like that. I wouldn't want that. I would want this and all this. So after a while, we all of the kids, the 6 of us, we just started to note what she was, saying. And the mortuary owner, he was like, we already know when she passed away, not him, but he'd already passed on. But his sons grew up, they was his family business. They were like, we know what Mrs. McIntyre want. Mama, they call her Mama McIntyre. They was like, we already know what Mama McIntyre want. She let us know after every funeral what she liked and what she didn't like. So we already have it noted here. We let us know what you guys want, but we have a list. We kind of know what she wants already. You know, we had the dress. My sister already knew what dress and everything. How she wanted things to go, what colors, the coffin. So pre-planning it is a good thing to do because you do want to honor their wishes because this is their big send off. Uh, Other things have in mind location of the funeral. Some people they want. Uh, we've been on the coast and seen those types of funerals where people are taken out to sea and their ashes are dumped. They've been cremated, things like that. And so they pre-plan. That takes pre-planning. That definitely takes pre-planning to have your wishes carried out. Um, Number two, what it does, it reduces the stress and conflicts within the family or whoever's doing the arrangements. You can't totally avoid it because it's just a stressful time. No matter how prepared you are for it, it's still going to be stressful. Um, so you can't avoid it totally, but you can reduce the stress and definitely the conflicts. If things are written down on paper, this is what I want to happen, then hey, we have something to follow. We know exactly what to do, and so we don't have to wonder, is this how mom would want it? Is this how dad would want it? Things like that. So it does a lot because you have to mourn, you're already mourning, so the stress part, it needs to be let's keep that. And conflict, definitely conflict. There's no room for it. It doesn't do anything but tear. Families have been torn apart over these types of arguments. So that's one. It gives time to prepare financially because if you know what, say for instance, let's go back to the actual inflation example. You kind of know, okay, you can sit down and say with an insurance agent, someone, you get your costs, funeral costs, talk to the mortuary, whoever would be handling things, get an idea, add up the actual cost of what it would be, stack inflation on top of it, and then you decide, okay, am I going to pay for this cash? Will I need to pay for insurance? Or if you already have life insurance, would I need to add more insurance? Would I need to, do I need to buy insurance or something like that? Quite a few times, especially when people have gotten older, and it becomes a little bit harder to get, what the normal insurances, terms, those types of policies, they go with final expense. And so they say, okay, this is my final expense policy to pay for this, and what's left goes over here, goes to a beneficiary or whoever, where they're going to donate it or whatever. And so a lot of those policies, we do quite a few of those once people sit down and mortality, they like me realize we're not immortal. You kind of go a long time to thinking I'm still not going to die, and then one day it finally settles in, and then the person, they say, hey, what can I do to take care of this? I don't want to burden the family or anything, anyone with these types of costs. And so that's where policies like, you know um, final expense comes into play. But if you it's early, then okay, I'm going to do this policy and it's going to take care of this for me. Very, at least no one will have to take care of that. So that's the big three. You know, the arrangements, the wishes of the deceased, of reducing stress and conflict of the family, and time to prepare for it. So that's my answer, and that's my answer. And some reasons. And so this takes you into the place. If you do this type of pre-planning correctly, make it part of your estate planning. This is where estate planning will really be valuable, because then you could just make it part of the estate plan. So when all of those documents are drawn up for your estate plan, that can be added into the file with the other documents. So they'll have the wills, the trusts, all of the powers of attorney, medical directives, and funeral arrangements, and that makes it even better. So, and especially with estate planning, you don't wait till the person is passed on to know what estate, what is going to happen with their estate. With estate planning, that can be taken care of when you're alive. Hey, here's my estate. This is what's going to happen, and here's my arrangements. It's all laid out. There you go. And so now stress is reduced even further. Now everyone can really, really get into planning. You know, so that's my take on it. And my question of the day to you is: have you pre-planned for your funeral? Have you done any pre-planning? Or if you've done estate planning, have you added it to your planning? And maybe this is a wake-up call or a reminder. Oh yes, I need to make this part of my plan now myself. So that's the question of the day: have you pre-planned? All right. With that being said, I hope that I gave some important, some good information. And if you have any more questions, you can contact us. Please don't hesitate. Maybe time for that financial checkup. This could trigger the time for the financial checkup. Give us a call. Contact us through social media or email, or through the website, johnmcintyre.com. And before I go, share, subscribe, like, and until tomorrow, we'll talk.